Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Camino in Casa as part of International Sherry Week. We're holding it at Bar Pepito, which is the UK's first dedicated sherry bar just in the courtyard off camera at the moment at Camino King's Cross. We're going to go through this cook-off with Nacho. I'll show you in a minute, and you should all have your tins of the sherry. I hope you've iced them all down really well. If for any reason the web connection goes down, don't worry, because in your pack there's a step-by-step guide how to see it later, but absolutely, hopefully that should not happen. So very quickly on Bar Pepito, sorry, I should say, my name is Richard. I'm the co-founder of Camino, and we opened it in 2007 on the back of a burning passion for Spain and its food and drink. With our existing interest and skills and experience of running bars. So we put the two together and ended up with Camino, and it's been going wonderfully well ever since. So at Bar Pepito, we opened this in conjunction with our great friends at Gonzalaz Byass, and that's the guys on the name of the sherries you've got. It's one of the absolute best bodegas there is, a beautiful place, and wonderful people who work there. So we have a very close relationship and collaboration with them. You must go and visit it in Jerez one fine day. I'm now going to introduce you to my great friend Nacho, right over here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nacho del Campo. I'm the executive chef in Camino from the last 12 years. I'm from the Basque Country, but even though Basque Country is not known for sherries, I managed to fall in love with all these beautiful sherries, especially cooking, drinking them, and I realized how amazing they are, and I hope you will agree with me. For the last 12 years, we've been through a lot of things and a lot of happiness, and as you can see, we're gonna have a very great dish from ingredients that we use on a daily basis in Camino, which we try to have always amazing quality ingredients. Sherry is an amazing product to cook with because it pairs perfectly with many ingredients, and they make them stand up, and they're very aromatic and great. And now what I'm gonna explain to you is what you have in your pack and how we're gonna start using that. So to start with, you're gonna have some Pardina lentils, which are the Pardina name, it comes because they are brown and it's a pardo. You're gonna have pancetta, an envelope with vegetables cooked with a bit of Alfonso sherry. They have paprika, salt, a little bit of celery, garlic, and cooked on olive oil. Then the king oyster mushrooms, which are very meaty, very nice mushrooms that we use. We pre-sauté them with garlic, with garlic and olive oil, just to speed up a little bit the process of the cooking. And then you will have received a packet with the lamb. The Ibérico lamb is a great ingredient from the Pyrenees. It's great because it has a lot of oleic acid, and they call it magret because they release the fat, and it's very nutty, which it makes the Alfonso pair perfectly with it. And then what we will do first is, if you are with me, you can start heating up your pan, and we will start cooking the bacon. This will take you 2-3 minutes to get color, and Richard will carry on introducing you the series we will do tonight.
Thanks, Nacho. So I'm going to give a very succinct summary of sherry and the different styles. Nacho, do interrupt me. I know you don't want to burn the pancetta or anything, so cut me off anytime you like. So basically, what is sherry? Well, sherry is basically, in its essence, in the simplest form, is a lightly fortified dry white wine. And it's these styles, the manzanillas and the finos, are 15% alcohol, so it's not too strong, not much stronger than a big Aussie Chardonnay, for example. There are some variations, of course, depending on different grape varieties and the aging processes. But all sherry is, although it's steeped in tradition, it's actually bang up to date and better quality than ever. Cocktail makers, mixologists use it for making drinks because it matches the other ingredients so well. So that's been a big boom area in recent times. All of it's of astounding quality, and wine experts absolutely adore sherry, and it's very often their desert island wine. If you have I don't know if you camera can see here, but we've got some amazing old VORS, very old rare special sherries of 30 years old. That's exactly what you need on your desert island. It's also extraordinary value for money, and it just doesn't make sense. A wine of this quality, how it can be such good value. So you can literally go to the supermarket and pick up a bottle for £10. That shouldn't be possible. Nacho, do you want to cut to you?
Now, when the pancetta already got color, what we need to do is add the mushrooms and stir in. Add your what is important for you to do with the lentils, always you need to start the cooking with a cold stock or cold water. So right now, we just mix the vegetables with the lentils. And don't tell Richard, but I'm going to take his sherry just to have a little splash.
Just help yourself, Nacho.
Yeah. Oh, I just put a little dash. I love sherry for cooking. And now you see this. You allow the sherry to evaporate. And I have a little bit of cold water, around 100 ml. I just put it there. And what I have done is, you will see on your pack, chicken stock. So now what we need to do is put half of it and just let it cook. And then from time to time, we will add slowly a little bit more stock. So it will stop the boiling. You don't want the lentils to boil very strong and very hard. And then that will be little by little. It will take around half an hour for the lentils to be cooked. So now Richard will carry on explaining you the different sherries and how they produce.
Okay, right, great. Thanks, Nacho. I'm getting hungry. So back to the sherry. So there's 4 main factors that are crucial for sherry. One is the 3 different grape varieties, which are Palomino and Pedro Jimenez and Moscatel. Palomino, they're actually all white grapes, which you might find hard to believe with the Pedro Jimenez sherries, which we're going to try at the end when you see this sort of black, treacly liquid. But it's all from white grapes. The Palomino is responsible for more than 90% of all sherry production, and it makes the finos and the amontillados and is blended with some of the other styles. The other factor is the 300 days of sunshine you get in Andalusia, and Albariza soil. The Albariza is a very chalky soil, so what little rainfall you get down there is retained in the moisture, in the soil below the vines. The 4th factor is the Solera system. So that's absolutely critical, and this is where the magic happens. So you have layers and layers of barrels in these cathedral-like bodegas, which are just extraordinary, beautiful, beautiful places to visit. In the bottom layer, that's where you take the wine out to be bottled at the end of the process. When you take the wine out of that, you fill up what was taken with the layer above it. And then you replenish the second layer with the layer above that, and so on. So it's a blend. It could be 3 layers, could be 4 layers, but important thing is it's a continual process. So it's like a non-vintage champagne is the idea. It's a blend for many, many years. And then they go, and they're stored. These barrels are American oak casks, and they have the cooperage there on site, and it's just all part of the experience. Another factor about sherry, I'll come back to the details of all the different sherry styles when we taste them, which is what it's all about. But another very important factor about sherry is the fact that it's amazing for food matching. So if you take a style of food which is like almost impossible to match with other wines, if you think like artichokes, asparagus, tomatoes, sushi, boquerones, things like that, very, very difficult to match and have a nice combination with sherry, but somehow with wines. But sherry can do the job. It's extraordinarily versatile in that respect. And as a good rule of thumb, you say if it swims, drink Fino. If it walks, drink Amontillado. And if it flies, drink Oloroso. Nacho, can I carry on? Or you?
Yeah, carry on. At the moment, the lentils are slowly cooking, and you're doing great.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm not so sure. So another factor which is critical for sherries is there's two significant departures. There's those that are aged under floor, which is a biologically aged under floor is a yeast, and those which are not, because they are fortified from the outset with great brandy produced in the area. But if we go to the Finos and the Manzanillas and the Amontillados, Amontillado starts off as a Fino. And the Fino itself, they're in these big 600-litre barrels. They keep a layer of exposed oxygen on the top. And it's on this layer that the floor grows. And so that stays there for several years and starts to die off after about 6 or 7 years, depending on the humidity in the bodega. What this layer of yeast does is protect the wine underneath. So when we get to the wines, which I'll start in a minute, you'll see that they're very pale color. Whereas when we get to the Amontillados, you'll see that they've got more color because they've been exposed to oxygen. So imagine if you have an apple and you take a bite and you put it down and you go off for 10 minutes and come back, it starts to go brown where you've taken the bite. And that's because it's been exposed to oxygen and it becomes oxidized. The other style, as I said, they're fortified from the outset. There's no flaw involved in the process whatsoever. And those styles are the Oloroso, the Moscatel, and the Pedro Ximénez, the PX. Have I got time to... You going back to food now?
I think what you need to do is you need to try this jamon with Fino.
Oh, what a brilliant suggestion. As it happens, I got a bottle right here. Let's get involved. Okay, so here's the Tío Pepe. This is a multi-award-winning wine from Gonzalaz Byass. Absolute delicious. It's got perfect balance. Let's give it a go. Hope you're joining me. Right, so as you can see, it's got this gorgeous pale gold yellow color. Well, that's the first thing we notice about it. And then give it a good swirl. If you like, you can, I sometimes put my hand on top to, when you swirl it, you concentrate those aromas even more and take one strong sniff. And then if, like me, you should be getting some olives, almonds, those yeasty notes. And it's actually preparing your palate. I'm actually starting to salivate right now, so I'm preparing my palate for the meal. So it's a brilliant palate cleanser. It's a brilliant way to start your meal. All right, let's see, give it a go. What you should feel is its dryness, first of all. It's actually got less than 1 gram of sugar per liter left. And it's partly that floor, it eats up any residual sugars, the floor of the yeast layer. On the palate, I'm getting olives, a bit of green apple as well, actually, and a real sort of savory feeling and almonds and so on. A very good match with this. Lucky me, Nacho has prepared a few things for me. So I've got the classic combination, which is the jamon, and this, and olives and almonds and cheese and seafood, and basically a wide variety of tapas is what's going to go best with a fino.
Now, don't forget from time to time to stir the lentils. Don't get them burned. If you see that the liquid have already absorbed most of it, is the time to do a little refreshment with the chicken stock. And we will carry on adding little by little until we finish the stock. Once you finish the stock, we will still have the jus, which we can still add, but this will make it very sticky. So it's better to keep it at the very end. And now Richard is gonna talk you through the amontillados.
Right, wine number 2. Okay, good. So, Amontillado. Remember, the Tio Pepe was aged for about 4 or 5 years. This is effectively an older Tio Pepe. So it's exactly the same product, but it's aged for longer. This is 12 years. It's always an average age in the sherry region, remember, because it goes through the Solera system. But look at the glass, hold on. This is, as you can see by the color, that much darker. It's not really dark. You can have Amontillados which are up to 30 years old or even more. I'm going to leave all these there so you can see them. But this is, it's like a pale amber color. Very, very attractive indeed. Give this a swirl again. Well, for me, this has got, so it's still got those yeasty notes. It's got a touch of oak as well, but it's also got hazelnuts. A lot of sherries are classically very nutty. This is, so it's called Viña AB, or Viña AB, if you like. So the hazelnut aromas carry through onto the palate for me. And I really like the style. It's sort of it's still got that freshness, and yet it's more developed, it's more complex, of course. And it's got these sort of yeasty, subtle notes, and it's quite racy. It matches a wide range of food, like chorizo, which I happen to have here. Thanks again, Nacho. And charcuterie, consommé, duck, some cheeses. It's a very good match for those. It's very versatile, but it's just an evolution of the Tio Pepe. Got time for another one?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
At this time, you can put some of it for me.
No? Oh, but for you, we should have said. Okay. Right. Oh, one of your favorites, Nacho. Look.
Actually, this sherry was great when we were doing pairings because it's amazing. It goes great with everything.
It's exactly right. This is the Alfonso. Nacho and I have done so many food and wine tastings because we love it, and because it's just all hard work. But the Alfonso is particularly versatile. It's brilliant. So this is an Oloroso. This is Oloroso Seco, so a dry Oloroso. Now this is the other style which is not developed under floor. This is fortified from the outset. And the ABV of this one is 18, I think. Hold on. Yes. So it's a richer, more powerful style. Have a look at the color. And this is also 100% Palomino. And it's quite extraordinary to think that it's exactly the same grape that goes into all of these. So this is more of a sort of a richer amber color, a bit more gold. No, sorry, a bit richer, a bit darker. For me on this one, I'm getting also, of course, the oak, but the hazelnuts and also walnuts. It's just that much more powerful. It's complex, it's got a lot of structure to it. Even some spicy notes as well. maybe a bit of truffle or almost some leather as well there. So this goes obviously very well with Ibérico lamb.
Yeah, with the lamb, it's amazing because the Ibérico lamb, it got a very nutty flavor. Now, you might have noticed that I didn't put any salt during the beginning of the cooking of the lentils. The reason is it's better to wait a little bit, and when you halfway is when you put the salt. Taste it and put a little bit more. I'm Spanish, I love salt, so sometimes we make things a little bit stronger. So I try to keep it good with the salt. And now the only thing you need to do is just try the stock a little bit. It needs to be a little bit salty, but not too much because we will be adding the sauce that we made with the Alfonso. This, it has all the bones roasted from the lamb, and it's very concentrated and it's very nice, but it will give a little punch at the end. So not make the lentils too salty. And as you can see, from time to time, I keep adding stock. We will know that it's ready because I put the right amount of stock. And these lentils, we're gonna make them sticky. It's gonna be a little bit dry. If you like them to be a bit wet, you can add more liquid. I like lentils to be a little bit crispy at the end. It needs to be cooked, but I like them to have a little mordiente. Okay, and now Richard will carry on, and hopefully this time he will give me a glass of sherry.
But all you have to do is ask. So as we know, obviously we said this goes very well with the lamb. It also goes very well with like red meats and game and stews. Like imagine like a rabo de toro, which is a famous stew from the south of Spain. It's just a shame what happened to the rest of the bull. Right, let's go for the next one up, which is this is a medium sherry, the Cristina. So this is, remember, all the first three were 100% Palomino. This one is a blend of 87% Palomino and 13% Pedro Jimenez. One thing about Pedro Jimenez and the color of it, so remember it's like white grapes. Well, the white grapes are aged on what they call esparto mats. These are straw mats, like big round mats. We've got, can't show you right now, maybe we'll have a spin around the room at the end, but we've got 3 hanging on the wall right here in Bar Pepito. So they lay the grapes out on the mats and dry them out, and they shrivel until they're about 40% of the volume that they were before. So that's one thing. They concentrate, and basically they turn them into raisins. So that's one thing. And then later on, of course, with the aging in oak barrels for many years, they darken even further. So this is just 13% of the total, but it's enough to give it really quite a different style from the Oloroso. So as you can see from the color, this is a sort of bright amber. Compare it to the Oloroso, it's not dissimilar actually, but it's just that hint of extra darkness to it. Give it a swirl. There's very sort of clean aromas here, but a bit raisiny, as you would expect, and some figs that you get on it as well. And just a little bit of PX makes a big difference. So it's very slightly sweet, of course. It's still got all that. It's actually a lovely style. In fact, I've only come across this particular Cristina very recently, but it's a little bit sweet. It's got the hints of the oak, and it's got a sort of great freshness to it and a very long finish. And that's a very classic thing in sherry. Again, it's all about the value for money you get with sherry. You taste it, and the taste goes on and on and on. Unlike a less expensive wine, or just a simpler wine from a different region, which taste finishes quite quickly. So food matches for these. Nacho's got me something here, which is a sheep cheese from Extremadura in western Spain, right by the Portuguese border, Torta de la Serena, it's called. And this is it's quite a pungent cheese. It's beautiful. Sorry, you haven't got any. I feel guilty. But this is a very unusual but very, very cool match. Yeah, it's funny because this is very salty cheese, but it matches somehow with that slight sweetness. They counteract each other. So it's very good. And it's also just really good on its own. How are we doing, Nacho? Have I got time for...
We're doing very well.
Okay.
The lentils, they're starting to absorb most of the liquid. Once again, try to move them from time to time. They give them a little test. Now, the lentils, they will be still very crunchy. They need still another 5. I mean, 5, I'm Spanish. For you, it will be 15 minutes. But now we are 15 minutes away. So what you will see is that most of my stock is almost gone. Voila. And you will see the lamb. You will see that there is either 1 loin or 2 heads. This is part of the best end. And what I did is I put the lamb with olive oil. You will see garlics and a bit of rosemary and thyme. So what we're gonna do now is we can start preparing the pan. You need a hot pan, but no burning hot. The idea is to sear the lamb, and then when the sear is done, reduce the heat a little bit. How I do that? I try not to put too much oil on the pan and just allow the lamb to release all the fat. So now we just gonna turn on the pan, and when it's ready and hot, I will show you again. And now Richard is going for number 5.
Okay, hi. Right, welcome back to the sherry side of things. Actually, one thing I didn't talk about was glass size, type of glass, and also temperature. So the kind of glass I've got here is, I think this is kind of the perfect size. A wine glass is just a bit too big. But these old-fashioned, like little baby schooners you have are just a bit, frankly, a bit ridiculous. So also, if you have a good-sized nose like mine, you need a slightly bigger glass to actually have a good sniff of it. Anyway, you don't want to pour too. You need it big enough so you can swirl it around and get the aromas, but you don't want to fill it up too much. Especially, I mean, it's a bit easier in this country, but in Andalusia, where it's like gets 40 degrees or more, if you put too much in, it gets warm too quickly, unless you're a fast drinker. So you just put a little bit in. Our measures here are 75 ml or 100 ml is fine, but 125 is going to be a bit too big. The other thing about the temperatures, I should have talked about a bit more earlier on. Going back to the Tio Pepe, Fino and Manzanilla should, as far as I'm concerned, be ice cold. Should be like about 3 degrees, 4 degrees. I tend to veer on to the colder side. Some of these, generally speaking, the other ones are recommended to be sort of 8 to 10 degrees. For me, I generally go colder first. It will warm up if it's a bit too cold, but it sort of seems to tighten it up, and especially the sweeter styles. It sort of brings out more of the acidity and the freshness in the wine, I find, but it's up to you. You experiment. Okay, so what is it? Solera 1847. So this is, when we talked about the Solera system, this is called 1847 because that is when this Solera began. So as you can see, there's probably an infinitesimal amount of the original in this, like 1/1,000,000th of a drop, but you get the idea. So this is a sweet Oloroso Dulce. So this one was medium, and this is 87 Palomino, 13% Petrocreminith. This one is 75% Palomino and 25 Petrocreminith. As you can see, look at the effect it has on the color. It's much darker, much more profound. It's more like more intense and a bit like sort of mahogany in color. Okay, let's give it a go. Give it a good swirl. And there's instantly you get raisins. Certainly, it's a very classic aroma and taste you get with the Pedro Jimenez, and still some hazelnuts and some of that oak coming through as well. This one is, I mean, to be honest, any of these sherries you can absolutely have on their own, but like we were saying before, they're so versatile with matching with food. That works brilliantly. And with these, actually, sorry, on the palate, I should say we've got the sort of raisins, definitely dates. I would also say, and maybe a bit of caramel, and still that the subtle note of the nuts coming through. With this one, this goes very well with like fruit-based desserts, for example. It goes well with some cheeses. You can have it as an aperitif. It's also good with ice cream, and it's also good with what Nacho has made for me here. Thank you, Nacho. Is with some poached pear made in a little syrup of the Oloroso Dulce itself. Yum.
What you will notice is I put plenty of cinnamon, sour anise, clove, and once you drink this sherry, you will see that the cinnamon, it goes up very, very, very fine flavor, which is amazing. This, you can have it with prunes, with a lot of panettone. It's amazing. It's a great wine to have as a little after pudding or before pudding. Yeah. Anytime. So now what you will see is pan is hot. So the pan is very hot. So what we're gonna do is put a bit of salt and pepper on the lamb. And we're gonna start cooking it. What I'm going to do is I put a tiny bit of olive oil, just a little tiny bit, and I'm gonna put the garlic. This, it will infuse, you will see the garlics, they cut in half, so it will be easier for you to color them. This is a great way to see if the pan is hot. You can see that the garlics, they started to jump a little bit, which is good news. And then move a little bit the meat around, so the skin starts searing, but you see it doesn't get sticky. And I put in enough food for Richard and me, so we're gonna have a lovely dinner afterwards. Now what I do is I reduce the heat. I don't want the skin to burn. I just need to have a very nice color. Now, all the herbs that you have, you can start putting them in the oil. So this, it will give a very nice flavor to your lamb. What is amazing from this lamb is in Spain, we like lambs that they are milk fed. This is milk fed, but also have some cereals on their diet. This, what it does is it helps them very much to develop this great nutty flavor and also the oleic acid. As you can see, the oil now is higher, and the lamb is releasing a lot of oil. That's why they call the lamb magret, because it's very oily and really nice. Your garlic, now they're starting to color, turn them around so they don't get burnt. This, they will carry on cooking. I love garlics on the cooking because when they are well cooked, they release sweet flavors, and with curry, they also help, and they're really nice. I don't know if you can see, the skin is started to become golden brown. Now we're gonna sear the other side. We already prepared the lamb for you, so we have all the sauce done. This will help you for the fat to release into the pan. You can see that there is a lot of oil in there. This oil, you will be able to braise the lamb with it. The lamb will require around 3-4 minutes on each side, depending how cooked you want it to be. The other side, decide to cooking. So the lentils, don't forget, keep moving them. Once they absorb all the liquid, Mine, they almost absorb everything. And now Richard will go through the sixth sherry, which is one of my favorites, which is the pure PX.
Okay, right. Here we go. Okay, so remember, this is the Pedro Jimenez, and it is a white grape. It's a big surprise when you see it. Here we go. Look at that. It's like it's intensely dark, almost black actually, and look at that. You can't even see through it. It's very viscous. If you swirl it around, you see like how concentrated and sticky it is. So this is like there were hints of raisins in the earlier wines, like the Oloroso Dulce, but that was 25% PX, 75% Palomino. This is 100% PX. Another thing about this is, again, remember at the beginning we were talking about the range of styles. I mean, you can just look at the colors next to each other. You can see the evolution as you go through from the bone dry styles. 1 gram per liter of residual sugar. This is about 370 grams of residual sugar. There is no added sugar at all. It's just all pure, natural, sweet grape goodness. So give it a sniff. And then, and I went straight to the taste. But on both, you get the raisins, the dates, that lots of luscious concentration of figs. People will describe this very simply as Christmas pudding in a glass. It's also got those like extra spicy notes as well, the cinnamon, clove, other things like that. It's also, this is why I think it's better to drink it cold, because it still retains a sort of freshness to it, and it's very special as it is on its own, or you can match it with caramel, chocolate desserts, things like that. But also, it might seem perverse, but you can also have it with blue cheese. You may have salted to hand. This one is actually a La Peral. Remind me where this one's from, Nacho.
La Peral is from the north. It's all the areas from Asturias, León. They have amazing blue cheeses. So this is a cheese from Asturias.
We had one on the list once called Picos de Europa, what we still do. This is a little bit punchier. There's one called Cabrales, which is aged in caves, which is just mind-blowingly pungent and powerful. You don't want to leave any in your car, for example, by mistake. But it's sort of super savory, and yet there's a juxtaposition here. It works extremely well with a very sweet wine.
When you have the lamb and it got color, you can see by touching it that it's starting to firm up. Now I put the skin down again. I braise it, but switch off the pan. Let it rest. Let all the heat come straight in. The best way to eat the lamb is obviously pink, and just make sure that you baste it properly, so it gets back all the. You can see the oil and the grease that the lamb release is like a burn set. It's very nice, and that's how you get the almondy flavor. And now you cook it to your like. For me, this in 2-3 minutes, when you finish resting, the pan is off with the residual heat from the pan. It will carry on, and it will rest, so it will be evenly pink everywhere. If you like it well done, carry on cooking it a little bit more. Try to baste it more so it gets cooked everywhere. If you see on the sides, try to color it all. The skin is great if you get it crispy. If it's soggy, it's not as nice. And now you can see the lentils have absorbed the liquid. Now is the tricky part. Now is when they become sticky. So now is the moment where we're gonna take the sauce that we prepare with the Alfonso, bones and chicken stock and stock, and we're gonna pour it in. You see, it's very dense. This, what it will do is it will give the final touch to the lentils. It will make them very rich, but also they will become very, very, very sticky. So you need to be very careful now. When you cook it in a low heat. So you allow the lentils to carry on absorbing the liquid, but they will get now all the richness of the sherry. Now try the lentils with the sherry so you can see that if they're very salty or they need a little adjustment. If you think that they are very rich, you can have two ways. One is put a little bit of water or put a little bit more Alfonso. Alfonso at the very end, because it will carry on cooking, it will lose the alcohol, but it will give you a fresh, more fragrant touch to the lentils. And for now, the lentils, they will carry on absorbing the liquid and they will be ready to plate within a minute. Now try them. You will see that they should be still a little bit crunchy. But you can see with the liquid that we put, they become soft and juicy and tender. And now is the time to plate them up. You can leave a little bit of juice if you want. So you don't need to add any extra sauce on them. Plate them in your favorite crockery. Today for Richard, I have this beautiful pan. And I'm gonna prepare a little bit of the ram. I don't know if you can see, it's very pink, it's nice. And I'm gonna give as well a little bit of the loin, but it's part of the same cut. It's just one is the head and the other one is the loin.
All it needs is
and now what you need is a little. Yeah, go for it. It's nice.
you want to
I
pour some
don't
on?
drink it.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
that's for
That's
me.
your
Stop
glass.
putting,
Yeah, go.
stop putting sorry in my food. You need to drink it. Salud, chicos. And thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers, Nacho. Why? Awesome.
It's really nice.
Why? I'm gonna get involved
Do
with
you
that.
want some food?
Yeah, no,
Ah,
definitely.
nice.
Yeah.
I think we last glass, huh?
You said no. I've got another one over here. One thing I forgot to say on the nectar, by the way, the nectar really is nectar. The Pedro Jimenez is you probably also noticed the velvety smoothness, and yet an acidity to it as well. This acidity and freshness, and which makes it all work. But another very, very simple dessert is just pour it over vanilla ice cream. Absolutely magic. Sweetness on sweetness. It's preposterously sweet, but it works brilliantly. Right, Nacho, can I tuck in?
Yeah,
Have you got a fork?
Well, yeah, I got the big portion.
I'll just have a little piece there, and I'll get a spoon in a minute. But with the what is it called? I can't see. Right, Alfonso. It truly is delicious. Well, oh, good. Nacho, thanks very much. That's amazing.
Oh, my pleasure.
I look forward
Thank
to
you very
finishing
much
that
for
up.
everybody who joined us today. And this is our little tapita for today. Really nice.
Delicious. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I hope it was fun. Hope it was helpful. Anything you need to know about sherry, just visit us at Camino or Bar Papito when we can reopen, hopefully in the not too distant future. But we've really enjoyed putting this thing together with Sammy, who is behind the camera here as well. I'm not sure, it was somewhere in Spain, Barcelona, I think. But it's been a real pleasure and a lot of fun. Thanks very much. Enjoy your food.
And also, if you like Camino food, we have a very nice campus this year that you can always have a little treat for yourself. You can see most of the products that we will include on them. So very soon you will be able to buy them from our website. Have a nice November.
Exactly. Enjoy the lockdown. Bye, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.